Hey everybody, it's Kyle Winn here at Sage Realty. Today I'm extremely excited to bring you this video because it covers a really hot topic in our current market. Now, if you've been staying up to date on the market, you may be hearing that you should remove your appraisal contingency to get your offer accepted. So today I'm going to tell you what an appraisal contingency is, why it's important for you, and what it means if you remove that appraisal contingency. This is going to be some great information, especially for you first-time home buyers out there. But before we get started, please be sure to like this video if you find it useful and subscribe to our channel with notifications on. Now let's get started. Now, in order to understand what an appraisal contingency is and why it's important for you, we need to first define the words contingency and appraisal. Now, a contingency is simply a future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. And an appraisal is a valuation of property. Now, when I say property, that property could be antiques or collectibles, artwork, jewelry, and many other things. But of course, today we're talking about a real estate appraisal. Now, appraisal is usually, but not always, required by a lender to ensure that they are not lending you more money than what the home is actually worth. Now, when you're buying a house with a loan, you will want that appraisal to come back in what we say at value, which is the price that you negotiated to pay for the home in the contract. So now to put those two words together, appraisal and contingency, essentially appraisal contingency means that the property shall be appraised at the contract price in the near future, but it is not a certainty that that will actually occur. Now, I want to tell you why an appraisal contingency is so important for you as a buyer. With an appraisal contingency built into the sales contract, you are protected as a buyer in case the appraisal comes back below the contract price. For example, let's say your lender has pre-approved you to purchase a home for $600,000 and you see a home online for $575,000 that you absolutely love and you are willing to spend your maximum budget to get that house of your dreams. So you go in and you offer $600,000 for that house. The offer is accepted, and a couple weeks later, the appraisal comes back at only $575,000. And remember that your lender will only write a loan on the appraised value. So now what? There's a difference there. What do we do? Well, there are three common outcomes here. Number one, the lender writes the loan on that $575,000 appraised value, but the seller is still expecting you to pay the $600,000 that you offered. So in that case, you will need to come up with another $25,000 to cover the difference between the appraised value and the contract price. This is what we call an appraisal gap. The second option is you can negotiate with the seller that the home is really only worth $575,000 and ask them to agree to lower the contract price to that appraised value of $575,000. Now, the third option you might have is that you and the seller meet somewhere in between option one and option two. Maybe the seller agrees to lower the price somewhat to say $590,000. So then in that case, you would come up with $15,000 over appraised value of $575,000 for that total purchase price of $590,000. Now, the appraisal contingency is important for you as a buyer because it protects you in such a way that if the appraisal comes back below the purchase price and you and the seller cannot agree on one of the three scenarios that I just described, then you can cancel the contract at no risk to you as the buyer and receive a full refund of your earnest money deposit. So what does it mean if you remove the appraisal contingency completely right off the bat when you negotiate the sales contract with the seller? In this case, you would essentially be forcing yourself into that first scenario I described, in which I explained to you about what happens if the appraisal comes back below the contract price. In this situation, you would be obligated to pay that appraisal gap, which remember is the difference between the appraised value and the contract price. This is acceptable to many buyers out there today and is really helping many of them get their offers accepted. So you'll have to decide for yourself if this is something that you're okay with, and if you're really not sure if it's a good option for you, just talk to your realtor or your broker about it and they can help you decide if removing that appraisal contingency is something that you should include in your offers. Well, that's about all I have for this today, and if you got to this point in the video, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I know it wasn't the most exciting topic, but it is very important for buyers and even sellers out there to understand. Now, with that said, if you have any questions about anything covered in this video, please drop those in the comments below or just reach out to me directly and I'd be happy to help. And as always, be sure to subscribe and click the little bell so you're notified every time I release a new video about buying and selling real estate.